Hey everyone, I hope you're having an awesome day today. I am Felicia with Charbonneau Events Blog, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about why you should hire a wedding planner. You can go online and find all kinds of lists of reasons why you should hire a wedding planner, which I will touch base with some of those things in those lists, but I'm more of a storyteller and somebody who likes to share experiences to elaborate on my reasons. So lucky you get to hear some personal stories that kind of tell you a little bit about my past with my own wedding, as well as what I've done as a wedding planner, and kind of more of the background, behind the scenes details to kind of give you a true understanding of what we put into our work. That will hopefully help you truly understand the value of having a wedding planner. So, to go back on my own wedding, I got married 5 years ago, and I ironically did not have a wedding planner. And while I definitely do wish I had a wedding planner, the nice thing about that is it was really a learning experience for me. I learned all the ins and outs of what was needed, and I learned what I wanted to do as a wedding planner in order to put myself above what was expected of me, if that makes sense. So there's things that happened during my wedding that I was like, oh, that's something I'll remember. So a wedding planner is going to check off all your lists of what needs to be known by everybody before your wedding day comes. That way, on the day of your wedding, you're not sitting there getting your makeup and hair done and having 5, 6 different people come in and ask you 20 different questions. What that does to you when that happens as a bride is that it makes you feel like things are not going well and that you didn't do what you're supposed to do, and it can become very overwhelming and you start to maybe panic a little. My response as a bride when people start coming and asking me questions is, well, what do people normally do? Go do that. And so I was kind of more of like laid back, and I didn't really have a preference on a lot of things. It was just kind of like, whatever's normally supposed to happen, just go do it. But if I had a wedding planner, those questions would have been prevented. The planner would have asked those things of me ahead of time or made decisions for me, and that way, if the vendors did have questions, they would have first asked the wedding planner, alleviating any middleman things and just getting straight to the point and having the bride and groom not be asked a bunch of questions. So that's something really to remember, is that you don't want to be coming up with solutions the day of the wedding in the moment, whereas they would have already been smoothed over. So that's one really key thing. For the pre-planning stuff, same sort of thing. You may have a list that you got off from the internet that tells you what you need to do to plan your wedding, but with every item on that to-do list, there's more to-do lists. So if you're hiring your photographer and DJ, there's a to-do list within hiring the photographer, DJ, and the other vendors. And then once you do hire them, there's more to-do lists. So the wedding planner can really take all those little tasks from you so that you don't have to worry about them. You might think, well, I can handle that. I don't mind sending emails and phone calls and stuff, but add that on top of your normal life. You probably have a job. You may have children. You have friends and family or vacations. Like, there's so much going on in your life already, and to add such a big responsibility of planning one of the most important days of your life that you have a lot of emotions in can really add stress to your daily life. And it's just something a lot of people get overwhelmed with, and then they kind of panic a month or two before finally, and they're like, I don't know if I have this, and they'll reach out last minute to a planner trying to get somebody on board very late in the game, which can work. You have your month of / day of coordinators that kind of take over the last little planning tidbits and finalize everything for you. But if you get on board with a planner right away, you can alleviate a lot of that internet research, panicking if you hired the right vendors. Your planner will have fantastic recommendations for you. They'll have suggestions for you. They'll have budgeting options for you. You really can save a lot of stress, time, and money by hiring a planner ahead of time. So another thing with my wedding I learned very abruptly was I, after the fact, did not I realized I never got a piece of my own wedding cake, minus the little bite that I took when we cut our cake. That was all I got. So because of that, I was like horribly traumatized by the fact I didn't get cake. I'm still sad about it. It comes up often when we talk about wedding cakes or anything. I always bring that up. I'm like, I didn't get my own cake. It makes me so sad. But because of that, as a planner, I make sure my clients get cake. I know it seems like a silly kind of random thing to be concerned about, but it matters in a way. I mean, you spent all this time picking out cake flavors that you love. You went to a cake tasting and you selected it because you loved it, and then if you don't even get it on your wedding day, I mean, so what I generally do is I'll either assign and ask the caterer to make sure that the bride and groom get a piece, or I will make sure I go and put one on a plate and bring it to their table, or box it up depending on what they prefer. So that's something I do to take care of my clients. Another thing from my wedding, which actually was taken care of, was I call it like the moment alone. Immediately following the ceremony, I have it to where the bride and groom get a moment away from everybody, even the photographer, and just have a moment to just take it all in. You just got married. You're not going to be alone until after your wedding. Like, you just need that moment to process those emotions. And even if you're not like the sappiest person in the world, it's so good to just take that moment to appreciate each other. And so I always arrange that for my clients, whether it's immediately following the ceremony or shortly after signing the certificate, something like that. I always make sure that they get that. It's so important. And so that was something else I learned. And my wedding was fantastic. Everything went really well, all things considering. Those little things that, no wedding goes completely flawless. Now, the wedding planner's goal is for you to think everything went flawless, but there may be little weird nuanced hiccups that happen that we take care of behind the scenes that you don't even ever have to find out about. And that's our goal, is that we don't have to tell the bride and groom that anything was questioned or whatnot. So, but my wedding did really go smoothly, like I said, despite having a planner. It could have gone better, but I did have my venue coordinator who picked up the pieces there, and then also friends and family who really helped. But the goal is to kind of prevent anyone having to pick up any pieces. So wedding planners are really great advocate for you in making sure that there's no questions of anything like that. So that's kind of the first half of what I was going to explain. The other thing is that a lot of people will suggest that they have a friend or family member who can handle things for them. I have been that friend or family member who's kind of handled things, but as a professional, I've already been planning in the past, so I knew what I was doing. But the first example was I have a really good friend I planned for, but I also was a bridesmaid. Now, I made sure that I brought in an assistant to kind of handle things when I couldn't handle them. So she was there the day of and kind of did some stuff, but I was still very hands-on, and it was very hard to juggle that. And I was a professional, so it's hard to be a friend and bridesmaid and a wedding planner. So I took that and I learned from it. And as a wedding planner, I highly value wedding planners. So for my brother's wedding, which I fully planned the year in advance for them, but for the day of, I had a actual hired wedding planner on board, and she was involved a month before, helping me finalize the timeline, helping me fix little things, and then the day of, she took over. There were multiple buildings involved in the process. There was different venues and stuff, and so obviously I couldn't be all those people. I couldn't be a sister, a bridesmaid, and a wedding planner, so I handed over that wedding planning stuff. It was not my job. I got to enjoy the wedding. Now, I will admit, my brain still is focused on making sure everything goes right. It was really hard for me to turn that off, but I had a really awesome planner who made sure I didn't have to worry. So I never really had any panic moments of trying to take over. But it's so important to let your friends and family enjoy your wedding. You don't want your aunt or your best friend or whoever to be worried about whether the tables are set up properly or whether the DJ is in a proper place. You don't want them to worry about that. So just keep that in mind, that you want those people who care about you the most to be able to enjoy your special day. So finding someone who's unbiased and able to put aside emotions, especially family dynamics and stuff, can get really complicated when you're trying to be directive with things. And so having that outside person who's able to give directions without anyone getting hurt feelings because, you know, your aunt said something kind of weird, it's just avoid it. Just avoid it. So hiring a professional is so important. Also, some kind of background to what we do leading up to your wedding and also the day of is, all, like I said before, all those details within the details. So with the timeline, you know, there's your generic timelines that talk about, you know, 9 a.m. we're getting our hair done, and then we have pictures at noon or 1, and then our ceremony's at 3, and so on. You know you're doing those things, but you don't have to think about everything that's happening at every moment. And that's what the planner is doing. So if you don't have your planner, someone's going to have to be thinking about all those things. Making sure the DJ arrives on time. Making sure that the tables were set up exactly how you envisioned. You don't want to have to be going and double checking those things. You don't have time to go and step away from your bridal suite or from your photo sessions to go check on those, right? So by having that planner, the planner is hyper aware of everything going on every moment of the day and making sure everyone's exactly where they're supposed to be at the right time. So at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., you know, you're getting your hair done, but I'm over there worrying about that the florist is arriving, that I'm getting the table set up or having the table set up. Just all those fine details that you don't want to think about. During your wedding, I work really closely with the other vendors to make sure everything's flowing well, that your reception is flowing well, that it's not moving too quickly, that guests aren't getting bored. Because when guests get bored, if there's too much lapse of time between things, they will often either leave or start wandering and eating the dessert table too early. You know, you just have someone there to be your Hawkeye, basically, and observe what's happening the whole time. And then communicating with you and taking care of you as the client, making sure that you are comfortable and that you're fed and that you're hydrated. You know, like, I'm not implying that we're basically personal assistants necessarily. You know, we're not there wiping your head sweat off all the time necessarily. You know, we may, but, you know, that's I kind of ask the bridesmaids. I'm like, hey, make sure this is happening for the bride, and groomsmen, this is happening for the groom. But we are your advocate. We're there to help you. We're there to make sure you're having a good time at your own wedding and stuff like that. So just having that person there really means a lot to clients. And I've had people give me amazing reviews where they told me that I was the most important decision in their wedding planning process, meaning by hiring me as their wedding planner, nothing else would have, to them, nothing else may have fallen into place the way it did. Not trying to put us on a pedestal or anything, but we become your anchor of your wedding. We become that person that's there for you, making sure that you're getting what you want out of your wedding. Whether you have a lower budget or a higher budget, doesn't matter. It's the same amount of service. You know, also, obviously the things that we do may depend on the package that you purchased with a planner. You know, you have your full service planners, and then you have your month of coordinators, planner coordinators. You know, the amount of time you spend with them may vary, but if you hired the proper coordinator planner for yourself, you will feel 100% taken care of. So just some things to think about if you're teetering on the idea of hiring a planner. Take care of yourself. This is a very important day for you, and make sure that you have someone there that knows what they're doing, that have planned many weddings. They won't forget things for you, you know, things that you hadn't thought about, they're thinking about constantly. So just hire a wedding planner. Give yourself that peace of mind. It will make a difference, and it will save the stress in your time and all of that. And money. We try to save you as much money as we can. So If you have any questions more about reasons why you should hire a wedding planner, if you need help figuring out how to find a wedding planner in your area, go ahead and reach out to me. And also, if you have ideas for videos you'd like to see from me, please let me know. Until then, I hope you have an awesome day, and thank you for watching.